Hi, thank you for joining us here at Tax Talk UK, where we talk about all things tax and other important aspects of working for yourself, running your small business, aimed at supporting you in your self-employment. So we're going to talk about signing up for MTD with HMRC and specifically for income tax self-assessment. And before I talk about that, if I could please ask you to take a moment to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way you will easily be able to refer back to this information if you need to, as well as finding other information that we have available on a whole wide range of topics aimed at supporting you in your self-employment. If you want to be notified by YouTube when we upload new information, then you should also turn on the notifications. So moving on then back to signing up with HMRC for Making Tax Digital for income tax self-assessment, also known as MTD for ITSA. So we were asked to cover how you sign up for Making Tax Digital with HMRC, and I have broken that down into to separate out VAT and ITSA. And the reason for that is because Making Tax Digital for income tax is not yet mandatory. So therefore, you're only able to sign up for Making Tax Digital for ITSA on a voluntary basis at the current time, and therefore there are some conditions that you would need to meet the criteria to be able to sign up for it voluntary. So it's different to VAT, where that's already now mandatory for everybody who's VAT registered to be submitting Making Tax, using Making Tax Digital. So of course, with Making Tax Digital for income tax, it's also going to be a new system. So with VAT, previously, if you were VAT registered, you would have been used to submitting quarterly returns, or however your long your VAT periods were. So you would already have been submitting those to HMRC, and when Making Tax Digital became mandatory, you were simply submitting that digitally. So we talk a lot about using software to do that, whereas Making Tax Digital for ITSA will be a new system altogether. So therefore it's something new to learn. So what will happen is once a quarter, you will need to, for income tax, if you are over the threshold, which is currently £10,000, or if you have income from property income, again over £10,000, then from currently April 24, you will need to comply with Making Tax Digital for ITSA. And that means that as well as your end of year self-assessment tax return, which we are expecting to be simplified somewhat, you will also on a quarterly basis need to be submitting a certain level of information to HMRC, and that can be done through your Making Tax Digital software, but currently that's not something that you're required to do. So although we've got a little way until the time that is mandatory, what I do suggest is at this point in time you start to get things in place. So you start to decide what software that you are going to use, get familiar with that software, start to use it now, rather than leaving it till the last minute when you have no choice, because that means that if you've got any issues with it, you'll have more time to overcome those issues, to get guidance, to get training, or to obviously engage some help if you need to, but you'll have enough time to be able to give it a go and to decide how much of that you feel comfortable with doing yourself. So we've talked a lot, and in other videos we have guidance of how to use some of the softwares, the specifics of what you'll need to be doing in that software. And a lot of the software providers will already allow you to submit your self-assessment tax return from the software directly. So that isn't currently a Making Tax Digital for it's a requirement, but that of course is more efficient if you can submit your tax return from the software, because of course you're already keeping your accounts in your software, keeping them digitally. So rather than having to transfer that information to your self-assessment tax return, you can already in many cases do that directly. So that is all, all to do, all good for getting you ready, making sure that your data's clean enough in your software to be able to make that submission. And you will be able to just use your government gateway account that you currently use to make the submission for your self-assessment. So whether that's an agent that does that for you, or whether you do that yourself. If you do that yourself and you've previously logged into to the HMRC portal in order to submit your self-assessment tax return, whatever login you use to do that, you would be able to use in your Making Tax Digital software, assuming that's a function that's provided currently by your provider. So when we actually come to the point where you need to sign up for Making Tax Digital for income tax, then you will need to sign up with HMRC. And as I mentioned, in certain circumstances, which I'll just run through in a minute, you can voluntarily sign up for Making Tax Digital for ITSA, and this is because it can be a little bit confusing, because we talked a lot, and there's a lot of information, a lot of focus about using software, Making Tax Digital software for keeping your records digitally, which of course that is what Making Tax Digital is. But as well as using the Making Tax Digital software, you also separately need to sign up with HMRC for Making Tax Digital for ITSA. So whether you sign up voluntarily or by the time it comes to be mandatory, if you've got your software in place but you haven't signed up with HMRC, then that will be an issue. So I'm going to pop the link in the description if you want to have a look at that of how you sign up, and that will also have the conditions that you'd need to meet if you want to voluntarily sign up for the pilot before it becomes mandatory. So you won't be able to sign up for MTD for ITSA with HMRC until you've confirmed to them as part of the application process that you have got your software in place. So of course, if you are signing up early for your Making Tax Digital software to give you time to get used to it, and you want to have the backup of still being able to sort of submit the old way, let's say, then of course don't sign up for MTD for ITSA, because once you've signed up, then you will need to comply with it. So if you're not comfortable about doing that, then just wait until you are. But you will need to, when the time comes, you will need to sign up with HMRC for MTD, and then whichever gateway details then are sort of used for that, you will then put those into your software, and then it will all be good to go when you need to start complying with the mandatory Making Tax Digital for ITSA. So I'm just going to pop over to the screen and show you, run through the conditions if you want to voluntarily sign up If you don't meet the conditions, you won't be able to do that anyway. So if you want to see whether you could, I'm just going to run through those now. So hopefully now you can see the screen, and so as we were talking about, from April 24 you will be mandated, if your income is over the threshold of £10,000, you will have no choice but to use Making Tax Digital for ITSA. But of course, if people can voluntarily use that service beforehand, then that gives HMRC a chance to test the service and iron out any problems. So if you are considering voluntarily signing up early, then you must meet the conditions that are here on the screen, and I'm going to put this link in the description if you do decide to go ahead. So you need to be a UK resident. You already need to be registered for self-assessment. Your accounting period needs to be aligned with the tax year. So some people will cut off at a month end and run from the 1st of April to the 31st of March, and that won't work for the voluntarily early sign up. HMRC currently are only geared up for having voluntary people sign up for the year end that actually ties in with the tax year. So you may find that it's not for you anyhow, because using the software, it can be easier to run reports and everything if you're using a month end. So you need to have submitted at least one self-assessment tax return. So this can't be your first tax return. You need to be keeping your records digitally. Well, of course, that would be why you would be wanting to sign up for the pilot. So in your last tax return, you would need to have either have had your self-employment income, or income from a UK or a foreign property. And also, if you're wanting to join the sort of test and voluntarily sign up early, you must be up to date with all your tax records. So that means that across all taxes, not just the income tax, you need to be up to date with all your returns, need to be submitted and not overdue, and you need to have paid all of your liability. So things then, apart from, so those are the things that you need to be able to meet in order to meet the criteria to sign up voluntary. But then there are some specific exclusions which would mean that you can't sign up at this stage. So if you need to report income from any other sources, so for example, if you had foreign income that wasn't property income, would just be one example. If you are liable for a high income charge, so the child benefit high income charge, which again we've talked about in other guidance. If you've got a payment arrangement, because of course if you've got a payment arrangement, you're not up to date with your liabilities, albeit that has been agreed with HMRC, that would still exclude you from meeting that criteria. That you haven't given HMRC your current address, so they would of course know that if they've had post return. If you're a partner in a partnership, you would be unable to sign up at this time. If you are or you're expecting to be bankrupt or insolvent, if you're a minister of religion, Lloyd's underwriter or foster carer, and also if you have third-party capacitator, such as a trusted helper, insolvency practitioner, nominee or solicitor. So those are the reasons that would prevent you. And of course, it's very early stages in the pilot for HMRC. So it would be anticipated that as we get closer to the live date, to April 24, that some of these restrictions will be removed and more people will be able to join in the pilot, should they wish to. So hopefully that gives you a little bit more of an understanding of the sort of the two-step process of signing up for Making Tax Digital for income tax self-assessment. So you've got the process of signing up with HMRC, and then you've got the process of using your digital software. And once you've signed up with HMRC, then your gateway account that is signed up will be able to use with your software in order to make the submissions once they become mandatory, or once you're accepted to voluntarily join the scheme early. And hopefully that's given you an overview, as well as the criteria that you would need to meet if you want to sign up earlier. So some people may want to do that just to obviously to support HMRC to be able to help test and provide feedback on the system. Some people just would like to sort of get into the habit of doing that early. So it's only voluntary at this stage, so there's no reason for you to feel obliged or under pressure to sign up with HMRC, and that doesn't prevent you from still getting going on your digital software. So you can still start to keep your records in your Making Tax digital software, get yourself familiar with that, keep all of your accounts in the Making Tax digital software. There's two separate things, signing up with HMRC and using your digital software. So if you don't sign up with HMRC, you can still be using your Making Tax digital software. And I would suggest that that is really important to get ahead of the game, because if you're not already using software to keep your records, it could be quite a big change for you. Although in a lot of instances there are a lot of positives to come from that. So as I say, I hope that that's not too confusing, and I hope that that has that does make sense. And thank you very much for watching. Please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll see you again. Thank you. Goodbye.